Welcome back to Your Travel with Olivia. I'm Olivia, and this is the channel where we bring you news and advice on traveling smart, safe, and with confidence. Traveling with or without your pet can be very stressful and very emotional for the pet owners out there. And so today we are joined by two pet owners. We have Wally and we have Pearl, and they are going to talk to us about some of the things that they're a bit concerned about when they are traveling without their pets, and maybe some questions that they have of traveling with their pets. So Wally, hey, thank you so much. I've got to tell you guys though, it is actually Wally who brought this whole subject up because he knows I do this channel on everything to do with travel. And he said, hey, Olivia, why don't we talk about traveling with pets? I mean, it's a very emotional time for you because if you have to leave your cats at home and then you're gone away for a period of time because you're from
Chile. The intention was, what do I do when I actually need to take my cat with me on a trip to Chile potentially? What are the steps that I need to take? Do I make the arrangements through my vet only? Do I need to figure out what Chile says on the matter, you know?
And you have two dogs,
So I have two dogs. So I have a smaller dog and a Chihuahua pug mix.
Right.
And I have a larger Shepherd Retriever mix, so about 70 pounds.
Right.
And then my concern would be, you know, keeping them comfortable, reducing their anxiety. And then with the larger dogs, of course, you hear all the horror stories, you know, from larger dogs left in the cargo area, you know, suffering, being uncomfortable, dying even.
And then don't forget, there's a lot of times where the planes are actually just sitting on the tarmac for a long period of time. So we've often talked about, you know, the problems that it has and the complications it has on people who are sitting on the tarmacs and their kids and the babies and all that. And yet still there are animals that are down in the cargo who in the cargo area, it's not climate controlled at all.
And animals being such an important part of your everyday life, because let's face it, they are family.
Yes, they are.
You wouldn't expect a family member to spend 8 hours unattended in a restricted environment, you know, exposed to the elements almost, because there isn't even temperature control and things like that.
And alone and in the dark and stressed.
Sedated even in some cases.
That's actually a good point, because I've heard mixed things about if you're allowed to sedate your animal. I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, airlines don't allow you to do it, but then I know vets will let you, you know, they'll say, well, just give this to your pet, you know, an hour before you board or whatnot.
Well, the reason that they don't like pets to be sedated before the flights, and that is just simply because when they do come out of the sedation, they're actually a lot more agitated.
Of course.
I mean, even human beings react wrong to medication sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Like you cannot anticipate, and the stress of a flight is an added level of stress that you didn't need it. And
so how do we make, so if I were to travel with my two dogs, one smaller, I think my smaller dog would qualify for that 20-pound rule.
To go in the cabin.
And to go in the cabin. And you did mention that 20 pounds includes the carrier too.
The carrier, yes. It's all inclusive because it has to fit under your seat.
Okay.
And that's why the 20-pound limit. So it can't be the 20-pound dog plus the carrier.
So there must be like a size restriction too to the carrier. And are airlines really strict about that?
Very strict about that. Very strict about the carrier, that, you know, and also strict about your dog's mobility within the carrier. So your dog must be able to turn around, must be able to stand up, must be able to sit down there. So it doesn't want it so that it's just like, you know, totally confined.
So what happens if the dog needs to like pee or poo or it starts crying or whining in the cabin?
Howling to the moon as you fly by it.
Well, these are some of the problems that, you know, that they're having now when people are traveling more and more with their pets because of emotional support, that they need to have their pets with them. And of course we've got our service animals too. What do? Well, they have to deal with it just like they do with a crying baby or, you know, or somebody who gets sick. Okay, so what were we talking about?
So before Olive rudely interrupted us, we were talking about how to keep
a size 20-pound.
Yeah, a small dog. My just comfortable in the cabin, if they're crying, if they have to relieve themselves, just the basic kind
That's
of
right.
dog comforts.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that you have to take up with the airlines as well, and but at the end of the day, these are just things that can happen, and there's no way that they can control something like that.
And is a full ticket price for the dog as well?
Not a full ticket, but they do have to pay.
I see.
Those people for emotional reasons or the service dogs are free. They get to travel free.
Okay.
So there's no fee for bringing your animal when you have any of those issues, right?
A condition associated with the companion.
Now, can anybody say their dog, like could I say I need my dog for emotional support?
And a lot of people are doing that.
Okay.
So right now it has to come with a psychiatric assessment from
Okay.
your doctor, which is saying that yes, you do actually need them, because a lot of people are using it for that reason. Like they're just saying emotional support that they need it for.
So if that's the
they need their
case-
pet, right?
If that's the case, do they still are required to be in a crated?
Yes.
Okay, so they can. And what about service dogs? I've seen tons of photos online though, with the dog peeking through like the chair. So I would think that those are the service dogs, and they are kind of allowed to be in the cabin free.
I would think so too. I would
Right.
think that they would be of no use to be in a carrier, to be honest. So, but if you guys know, or if you have any information on that, please go ahead and put that in the comment section down below. That would be great.
And you had said like,
Allergies for passengers
And
that
like
we
the
have to
vaccination.
consider.
Very good. Yeah, exactly. And so this is another thing that you have to be concerned about as well, is what about the passengers that are on board, and if they have any allergies to any of these pets? We have to consider their health
Correct.
as well. And, how do you get around that? And these are some of the issues, to be honest with you, they are some of the issues that the airlines are having right now. And that's why so many of them are becoming extremely strict when it comes to traveling with your pets now.
I have a cat, so I know people are allergic to cats. That's a given. I'll be concerned for them as well. But also I used to have chinchillas, which are considered exotic animals too.
Yeah.
And while I wouldn't personally travel with my chinchillas, there are other forms of exotic animals that are considered companionship, like reptiles and
Yeah. And pigs.
and
Pigs.
birds.
Pigs is becoming big,
Yeah,
and
pigs.
birds. Yes,
Yeah.
very
So
much
how
yeah.
do we usually think of dogs as the more standard picture of a pet, but what about exotic animals? They follow the same restrictions as well?
As of right now, it's just air is only cats and dogs. Okay, so
Oh,
once
wow.
you have any other kind of pet out there, then you are only restricted to rail and
Sea.
car.
Oh,
And sea, that's a question,
got it.
to be honest with
you
you.
guys can help us identify
I
that.
don't know whether you can bring your pet snake on a cruise. Not sure.
Well, a snake on a plane, I heard, is possible.
Plane. As pet owners, you're caring, you're loving. These are your family as well, and so it is a very stressful time for you, and it is a very emotional time to travel with your pet, to go and know all those guidelines that you have to follow, as well as if you have to leave your pet behind, which we didn't talk about. So if you have to leave your pet behind, what would you do? Like
A sitter, definitely. I'll get somebody.
So a sitter comes into your home?
Ideally, as I wouldn't want to bring extra stress to the pet, I would rather my cat be in a home where it's her territory, she's
Right.
familiar with it. Or even consider, do I bring the cat now,
Yeah, yeah. Especially Chile, right?
Yes, it's a long flight, over 12 hours.
Are there flight time restrictions for traveling with pets?
Yes. Right now, like I said, United has put it that any flights over 8 hours, the pets can't come, and any pet who's under 4 months old cannot travel.
Right, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
Now, in terms of vaccinations, I would assume that you have to be equally concerned with the vaccinations that you need as per Canadian standards, as well as the standards of the country that you're visiting.
Yeah.
So how do we go about setting those appointments and expectations? Is it through the vet? Do you just have to set up a travel appointment for your vet?
Well, you definitely go through your veterinarian, and they should know the vaccinations, but you would also want to check with the airlines and the country that you're going to and saying, I'm bringing a dog or a cat or a snake or whatever it is that you're bringing, and you know, what are the vaccines that are required for that. So the airlines or the country, and that would be the tourism board, would probably give you a good idea as to what it is that you're supposed to have your animals vaccinated with, as well as your veterinarian. There's a lot of research that goes into traveling with your pets, and so that in of itself is pretty stressful, and you have to be extremely organized, you know. I mean, you're going to Namibia, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So normally, I do travel quite a bit, and I've always left my dogs either with a friend or with a sitter, or I've even boarded them off-site. But now, when we're talking my larger dog, Jasper, he's in a wheelchair now. He has a spinal cord disease. So I'm really worried about leaving him, you know, at home or with a sitter, and you know, they might not have the right training or just know how to care for a disabled dog. So that's a toss-up between leaving Jasper here with somebody or now traveling with him.
Some people have moved to other countries, and you know, and they take their entire lives with them. You know, it's
now when you are moving, it's not to say that you can't bring an animal. Like, you know, I just watched this documentary on a gentleman that was traveling from Canada to Australia. Well, right off the bat, that trip is horrendous, right? But, you know, if you put in the time, you put in the effort, you put in the work, and you put in that love and commitment, you can do it.
You can do it. So it's no impossibles with
Right.
that.
Not impossible.
So did he break? He must have broken up the flight then.
Yeah.
In like 8 or 8 hour increments, whatever the max
That's right,
was.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything for the dogs.
Anything, yeah.
We've become obsessed with pets.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who is the owner, right? Who owns
Who's
who?
in control?
Who is in control?
Well, thank you guys so much for, you know, coming out and talking.
No, thank you for
and
having us. And
letting everybody know your concerns, and they're very real. And, you know, a lot of you out there probably feel exactly the same way as Pearl and Wally do. So I hope that you got a lot of value out of what you've heard here today. And if you did, as I've already mentioned, please go ahead and put that in the comment section down below. And don't forget to give us a like. If this is your first time visiting this channel, please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification, because I upload a video every single week, and every week I talk to you about anything to do with travel. As for the love of our pets, for the love of travel, if this is your week to travel, I wish you a safe trip there and a safe trip return home. Thank you. Adios. Thank you.